I'm Sandy Peterson, and this is my son Grant, one of the more experienced players of Cthulhu Wars. We're going to talk about the strategies in detail. I'm going to talk about the exact abilities and spellbooks each faction gets.
I'll be talking about strategies for playing each of the factions.
Let's talk about Cthulhu. Cthulhu, like all the factions, starts with 6 cultists and a controlled gate, in his case, in the South Pacific. The creatures he gets include the deep ones. They cost 1 to summon, and they have an attack of 1. Although you can summon them to get them in the map, there's another way of obtaining the deep ones that is actually more common, where you essentially get them for free. We'll talk about that later. There's the Shoggoth, which costs you 2 to summon and gives you an attack of 2. And finally, there is the Starspawn, which costs 3 to summon and gives you an attack of 3. Most other factions have a combat value for their units 1 less than the cost to summon them, so Cthulhu's creatures all have a slight edge in combat. Finally, but not least, there is Great Cthulhu himself. Now, Cthulhu may only be summoned in the South Pacific, but unusually he can be summoned here even if you don't control the gate. If it's abandoned, or should someone else control it, you can still summon Cthulhu in the South Pacific. One of the effects of this is that it makes the South Pacific kind of undesirable real estate for other factions to control, because Cthulhu can appear there any time. Now, the faction's special ability for the Great Cthulhu faction actually is centered on Cthulhu because it's immortal. Cthulhu costs 10 power to summon here in the South Pacific, but that's only the first time. Each additional time you summon him, it only costs 4. And in addition to that, each time you summon or resummon or reawaken Cthulhu, you get an Elder Sign token, because it breaks the bonds of reality. So every time you awaken him, it's like a little extra perk. Now, Cthulhu's combat special ability associated with him is called Devour, and it's directly a combat ability. What it does is, at the start of a fight, let's give an example here. Let's say Cthulhu was fighting Red Sign here in South America. At the beginning of the fight, Red Sign, before we roll dice, Cthulhu does Devour. That means one of the enemy units is removed from the fight before it even begins. Now, the other player picks who it is, but he's got to lose one. So in this case, we'll say he picks the cultist. There, the cultist is out. Now just the one monster is left to fight against Cthulhu. That's how Cthulhu works. That extra kill before combat is a huge boost. And even though some of the other great old ones will roll more dice in combat than Cthulhu, that kill and the fact that you can get Cthulhu back so inexpensively it makes him a force to be feared. One of Cthulhu's perks is that he is always the first player of the first turn if he's in the game. Now, this is both a benefit and a slight disadvantage because it forces him to commit himself before the other players. But of course, it lets him establish a presence in areas for them too, so it has its advantages. We're going to talk about the spellbooks now. Now, unlike the other factions, Cthulhu actually only has to earn 4 of his spellbooks. 2 of them come to him by waiting. One of them is called Non-Euclidean Geometry. He automatically gets this in the cleanup phase of the very first turn. He just waits till the end of the turn and poof, falls into his lap. He doesn't have to wait for the end of the turn though. Now, the spellbook that he most likely to get first is Control 3 Gates in Ocean Areas. As soon as he controls 3 gates in the ocean, he gets that one. Then, his other 3 spellbooks that he has to earn consist of Awakening Cthulhu, which gets him a spellbook. When you awaken any great old one, you always get a spellbook. And then his 2 most difficult ones are probably Kill and or Devour an enemy unit in battle, and then there is Kill and or Devour 2 enemy units in battle. If you manage to kill and or devour 3 or more enemy units in one battle, you can get both these spellbooks at once, but that's a little more challenging to pull off. It's pretty easy to get, if you have Cthulhu on the map, it's pretty easy to get Kill or Devour 1 enemy unit because his Devour is automatic, kills the guy for sure, so you got that one covered. The last spellbook that he gets is always this one, which is called The Stars Are Right. And in the cleanup phase of the turn in which you get 5 spellbooks, then you just wait till the end of that turn and you get this one automatically. Again, just waiting for the right time. That's how you earn Cthulhu spellbooks. Now we'll talk about what you're earning. Cthulhu's 6 spellbooks. These are not necessarily in any particular order, but he has the spellbook of Devolve. Devolve gives him the ability at the end of any player's turn or action, even not his action, he can take any cultist on the map, remove it from the map, and replace it with a deep one. This costs him nothing, doesn't count as an action. So for example, he could move a cultist here into South America and then immediately devolve him for just the one action of the move. Sometimes this is a very handy way of getting a deep one, a monster in other words, into other people's territories. He also has the signature spellbook of Dreams. Now, Dreams enables you to pick an enemy cultist anywhere on the map and spend 3 power. You remove that cultist and replace it with one of yours. Of course, you have to have a cultist in reserve to use that. But you can almost always have a cultist in reserve, because if you have all your cultists on the map, all you gotta do is devolve someone into a deep one. Hey, look, you got a cultist now. And then you can dream away some enemy cultists and replace them with yours. Regenerate is a spellbook specifically designed for the Shoggoth. This happens just before a battle. You declare a battle, the Shoggoth then decides if it wishes to absorb one or more of your other monsters or cultists. For each one it absorbs, it adds 3 to its combat dice. So for example, if we were having a battle here against, the Black Goat, this Shoggoth could choose to absorb this deep one and add 3 dice. Now he's rolling 5 dice because he has 2 already. Or he could say, I want a little more. And he could absorb another deep one or a cultist and add another 3 dice. Now he's rolling 8 dice, and you can keep skyrocketing up. So a Shoggoth can roll a lot of dice if you have enough food for it to boost it up. That's what Absorb does. It is a distinctively offensive ability. We then have Submerge. Not Submerge, I'm sorry. We will talk about Submerge in a second. There is the ability of Regenerate. Regenerate is explicitly for the Star Spawn. What it enables Star Spawn to do is take 2 hits in combat, sort of like a battleship in Axis and Allies. So to kill a Star Spawn, 2 kill results have to be applied to him. If he instead he gets a kill and a pain, or 2 pains, or 1 kill, or 1 pain, that just all counts as a pain to him. So essentially you get a free kill or like 1 less kill rather, when you're attacking and you have Star Spawn along with you. It makes him very resilient. If Cthulhu, for example, is going on into a combat with 2 Star Spawns with him, it takes 3 kills for the enemy to roll to even kill one of Cthulhu's units. It makes him very destructive in combat. And it also means that unlike some other factions, he doesn't have to keep a lot of small weak monsters along with him when he goes into a battle to absorb losses, because the Star Spawn will absorb the losses for free. He has the ability of Yaha and Flay, which is specifically for use with Cthulhu. And what this does is, when Yaha and Flay is in play, every gate in the ocean that Cthulhu doesn't control gives him 1 power. This has 2 effects. One is that Cthulhu doesn't care as much if he loses a gate in the ocean, because hey, he's still getting power from it. And the other result is that when Cthulhu has a gate in the ocean, usually the other factions aren't as interested in capturing it, because even if they take it away from him, Cthulhu's still getting power from that gate. This, over the course of a game, getting 1 or 2 power return from Yaha and Flay can really add up. The last spellbook I'm going to talk about is another signature power of Cthulhu, and it's called Submerge. To use Submerge, Cthulhu must be in a ocean area, any ocean area. It doesn't have to be South Pacific. He pays 1 power, and Cthulhu and as many creatures as he wants in the area come off the map and onto your faction card. On any later round, as your action, you pay 1 power, and all the creatures that are submerged reappear on the map. They can appear anywhere. They don't have to appear in the water. They can even appear on land, like this. But, of course, they can't then submerge again if they're on land, because to come off the map onto your card, you have to be in water. This way, Cthulhu can move his army clear across the board and strike at anyone. Nothing's safe from Cthulhu. Those are Cthulhu's toys he has to play with, his tools for winning the game.